Let's talk about the I just want peace phenomenon that we have so common in relationships. I hear it every day in one of the partners in a couple. I hear it in my friends, and I have moments when I hear it in my own inner voice that says, I don't have time for this. I just want harmony. I'm a good person. I just want peace. So I get it. I get where this thought, where this sentence comes from. And this week I'm exploring and sharing how it gets in the way of love. So this sentence, first of all, I think we all can agree that we all desire this inner feeling of peace and harmony. So makes sense that it is used often, that it is verbalized often, and it sounds so peaceful. It sounds so, it sounds so well intended. Like this person cannot be any wrong or cannot cause any harm in this situation. However, this sentence, while it carries the word peace and while it carries the idea of I am harmless in this situation, it's like as if we need to hear closer and as if we need to hear between the lines. And oftentimes this sentence is just a form of coping or actually, fleeing a situation. So we know the amygdala, fight, flight, freeze responses, and a way to fly, to do a flight, to flee a situation is also as humans by, verbally just taking yourself out of something, not contributing to a solution, and so to say, leaving it up to the other person to figure it out. So by saying that, we are getting in the way of love. We are not contributing to a solution. We are not contributing to creating harmony. We are not contributing to understanding the other person better or making ourselves feel and understood better. So we need to look at how can I contribute to peacemaking rather than to peacekeeping? There is something about peacekeeping that is just stagnation. And it's almost as if we are in a performance whereby we pretend or perform in a way, that it looks like peace, but actually, we are not meant to be in a stagnant state. It will never happen that life, that relationships, that our everyday energies are just stagnant. So if we accept that, we can move towards, okay, there is always flow, there is always motion. What can I do to create more harmony, more peace, more understanding, more connection, more letting the other person participate in my inner world, more sharing what I, fear sharing, but actually it would contribute to making myself understood better. So when I see that peacemaking means to not shy away from the difficult conversation, to create spaces in our everyday life or in the week where we reflect, where we share. When I know that peacemaking also means that I reflect, that I have a moment where I look at myself, like how am I getting in the way? What is actually, the trigger that really, brings my emotions up? When I do this kind of inner work, I can get out of the drama loop faster. And so next, I want to explore a little bit the vocabulary in conflict, because I throw some of these words out and they mean different things to all of us. And I do feel that it is helpful to have certain concepts, certain understandings together as a couple so that you can navigate conflict better together. But know that words always have a limitation, and know that words can also be used as an attack. So a very common phenomenon that I have when I work with couples that have been in therapy or in coachings or in personal development is sometimes that they use the vocabulary that they learned just to bring the argument or the fight or the conflict energy to another level. It's like instead of doing the inner work, I say, oh, you are projecting. Or instead of looking at myself, I am pointing at the other person and still saying, like, you need to do the work first. It's like I have now upgraded vocabulary to still escape the moment of actually making peace together. So this is something, a phenomenon that I'm fascinated by. Here we are doing the work, And we must watch out that we don't take the conflict just to another level by let's say, escaping the work, but that we actually use these words with the intention of creating more peace rather than more fight. And that is, to me, and so far, one of the best somatic indicators of, am I on a track of creating peace and harmony, or am I on a track that is actually fight? If I feel in my body that I might use words, but they carry the frequency and energy of fight, I want to protect myself and attack the other person, I want to point the finger at the other person, I'm in fight mode. If I feel like I need to guard myself, I need to defend myself, there is an arrow coming at me and I need to protect myself, I am still in fight mode, I am in defense mode, and it hurts to having to protect myself with the person that I love the most. So when I notice these feelings in my body, be it fight or defense, or this desire to be out, I speak up about it. I say, ouch. I say, wow, this feels like fight. How can we make sure? And this is the shift in the tension. How can we make sure we are not fighting against each other, but we are both teaming up in fighting for our relationship, or in fighting to improve the current tension that is there? And we might not be able to see it right away, but how can we communicate in a way that brings more insights on the table so that we can better understand what it is actually that we are fighting against or trying to resolve that is not the other person and that is not the relationship? So this is the hardcore inner workout, to know in a moment of overwhelm, fight, conflict, critical moment, how to shift the gear, how to bring all these concepts into real practice in your everyday life. And it requires all your brain power. It requires you to be in your best condition. And that's why it matters so much that you sleep well, eat well, take care of yourself, so that in a moment of overwhelm, you can instantly remember, I assume that the other person means well, has a good intent. I might not see it, but I assume so. I aim to understand rather than be right. I let go of my righteousness. I ask questions. I want to understand better so that, we have an overview. I choose love over fear. I take responsibility for my triggers. I look at where in my past have I experienced that? Why am I creating stories? Why am I believing something negative about this person that I love? So, and there is more and more. So that's why I want to look at some of the vocabulary in the next video. I hope this already gave you a good idea. I would say, for people that are more intuitive, for people that really know thyself, know themselves, it gets easier to feel in your body when you are in a moment of fight and when you are in a moment of peacemaking and fighting for peacemaking rather than fighting to protect you or fighting against the other person. It helps if you know how that feels in your body. That is the fastest way to call pause, stop, and change the gear. So start with your own personal development, getting to know yourself. Then we look at relational foundations, relationship foundations, to understand these concepts, and then you can thrive together. That is basically the accelerator program within the Modern Couples framework that really helps you to create the 10x kind of love. And if you are interested in learning how to navigate conflict, in doing this, not just the two of you figuring it out alone, but with a coach by your side, I would love to hear from you. Send me a DM, take the relationship health test. There are multiple ways of how to get in contact with the work that I do.